They don't hate you because you failed. They don't hate you because you struggled. They hate you because you refuse to break when life threw its worst at you. You walk into rooms carrying a calm they can't manufacture, a quiet confidence that isn't for sale, and it burns them alive inside. They've spent years chasing validation, clout, and fake applause, yet you built your peace in silence. You didn't beg for respect. You became someone who demands it without saying a word. Your peace is dangerous because it exposes their chaos. Your smile under pressure feels like a declaration of war to people drowning in their own bitterness. Understand this. Small minds feed on drama. Yours feeds on purpose. They will poke, lie, and provoke, trying to drag you into their storm. But the truth is, storms can't touch mountains. And that's what you are, a mountain. Standing tall, immovable, with roots deeper than their insecurities can reach. They can't stand your peace because it reminds them they've surrendered theirs. And no matter how loud they scream, your silence will always speak louder. Your peace is power, not weakness. People misunderstand this truth because they've been programmed to think that noise equals strength, that chaos means passion, that anger proves you care. But the reality is, anyone can scream, anyone can throw punches at the air, anyone can spit venom when life pushes them. That's cheap. That's easy. Real strength is when you could destroy, but you choose control. Real power is when you're capable of chaos, but you decide to remain unshaken. Peace isn't for the fragile, it's for the disciplined. Because you don't get peace by accident, you fight for it, you protect it, and you guard it like a lion guards its den. And that's why they can't stand you. You don't give them the reaction they crave. You don't dance to their drama. You don't fuel their gossip fire. They throw shade and expect an explosion, but all they get is a steady, unbothered gaze that says, I'm not playing your game. That burns them more than any insult ever could. Peace is built in the trenches of your life. It's forged through nights when you wanted to scream but chose silence, through moments you could have clapped back but chose to walk away, through battles where you knew you could win the argument but decided to win the bigger war, your sanity. People think peace means avoiding conflict. No. It means you're so confident in who you are and where you're going that not every dog that barks gets your attention. Weak people need to react to feel alive. Strong people know they're alive without proving anything. That's why your peace feels like a threat. It reveals who's in control and who's a puppet to their emotions. When you have peace, you control the room without opening your mouth. Your presence alone shifts the atmosphere because you're radiating a kind of power they can't fake. People who live in drama are addicted to emotional highs and lows. You're not riding that roller coaster. You're building your life on solid ground. And the truth is, that makes you untouchable. They can't lure you into their storms, so they try to drag you in by force. They'll bait you, provoke you, whisper lies about you, all in hopes that you'll lose your composure. Because once you lose it, they win. But you know better. You know that if they can control your emotions, they control you. And that's why peace is not only power, it's freedom. Peace demands self-respect. You can't maintain peace while letting anyone talk to you any way they want, walk over you, or dump their garbage in your space. You've drawn the line. And once you do, some people won't like it because your boundaries expose their disrespect. They were fine with you being nice when it meant you were available for their drama 24/7. But the moment you stepped back and decided, I choose my mental health over your noise, you became the villain in their story. Good. Let them write whatever chapters they want. You're not reading their book. You're too busy authoring your own. Peace also comes with a cost. And here's where most people quit. You have to walk away from certain people, certain habits, and certain environments, even when they're familiar, even when they feel comfortable. You have to be willing to stand alone for a while because not everyone will understand why you're so protective of your energy. But those who are meant to walk with you will feel your peace and respect it. Those who aren't will try to disturb it. That's the filter peace gives you. It reveals who's truly aligned with your life and who's only there for what they can drain. Peace makes you dangerous in a world that thrives on manipulation. Why? Because you can't be bribed with flattery or threatened with fear. They can't hook you with promises of attention or shake you with rumors. When your happiness doesn't depend on outside validation, you've already won. People who need to be liked will bend, break, and betray themselves for approval. People with peace don't. You've mastered the art of being whole without the crowd. And that terrifies those who rely on the crowd to feel whole. Here's the thing. They'll call you cold, detached, arrogant, unbothered. They'll twist your peace into something negative because they can't admit that what you have is what they want. They've confused chaos for living, noise for meaning, and drama for connection. But when the lights go out and they're left alone with themselves, the same people who mocked your calm will wish they had it. Peace is rare. Peace is priceless. And people destroy what they don't understand. That's why you protect it at all costs. You see, peace isn't passive. It's active warfare. It means you're constantly choosing discipline over impulse, wisdom over reaction, and purpose over ego. That takes more energy, more focus, more self-control than any outburst ever could. It's not about never feeling anger, hurt, or frustration. It's about mastering those emotions so they don't master you. It's about knowing you're capable of walking into any storm, but choosing to be the storm no one sees coming. The one made of steel inside, untouchable on the outside. And yes, peace will isolate you sometimes, but solitude is where you sharpen your mind, strengthen your spirit, and remind yourself of the mission. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to become unshakable. And when you are, the world will either try to follow you or try to fight you. Let them do both. Just don't give up the one thing they can't take unless you hand it to them, your peace. Because here's the truth. The man or woman with peace is the most powerful in any room. They can't be seduced by fake praise. They can't be broken by petty insults. They can't be moved by temporary storms. They're already standing on ground too solid to crumble. Peace is not weakness. It's the crown only worn by those who have conquered themselves. And when you've conquered yourself, no enemy on earth can touch you. That's why they can't stand your peace. And that's exactly why you'll never let it go. Your calm exposes others' insecurity because it acts like a mirror they can't look away from. People who are unsettled, anxious, or secretly unsure of themselves thrive in environments where everyone else is just as unsteady. The moment someone like you walks in, steady heartbeat, unshaken presence, eyes that don't dart around for approval, they feel it. You don't have to speak. You don't have to make an announcement. Your very existence tells them something they don't want to hear. You've built something inside yourself that they haven't. And instead of admitting it and learning from you, they feel small. Your calm reminds them of their own lack of control, their own lack of preparation, their own dependence on chaos to feel alive. It's not that you're intimidating on purpose. It's that they're intimidated because you don't play by the same rules they do. While they scramble for validation, you're content. While they need noise to feel relevant, you're content in silence. That's dangerous to their fragile sense of self, because it means you can't be manipulated. They can't bait you into arguments. They can't pull you into gossip. They can't shake you with rumors. And when they realize their usual tactics don't work, it frustrates them. They're used to people taking the bait. You don't. Your calm also strips away their illusions. In a heated moment when voices are raised and tempers flare, most people lose their grip. They get swept up in the current. You, however, remain grounded, watching everything like you're on higher ground. That perspective makes you powerful, because you see more clearly than those drowning in emotion. And here's what they hate about that. Your calm not only protects you, it exposes them. They can't hide their panic, their insecurity, or their desperation when they're next to someone who's steady. It's like standing next to a spotlight when you're trying to hide stains. It reveals what they wanted to keep in the dark. You've probably noticed this in small ways. You stay composed during a disagreement, and suddenly the other person gets louder, more aggressive, more erratic, not because you've done anything wrong, but because they feel they're losing control of the situation. Your stillness feels like dominance to them. And it is, because emotional control is dominance. In any situation, the person with the most control over themselves has the most power. That's why they'll accuse you of being cold, arrogant, or detached. Those are projection words. They're not describing you. They're describing the discomfort your calm causes in them. What they won't admit is that they wish they had it. They wish they could sit in a room without needing to fill the air with chatter. They wish they could face a challenge without spiraling into anxiety. They wish they could be unbothered by every opinion, rumor, and insult that floats their way. But instead of learning how to cultivate that calm, many choose the easier route, try to disrupt yours. That's why some people will push your buttons, not because they dislike you personally, but because your self-possession makes them feel exposed. If they can get you to react, they can reassure themselves that you're just like them, that you're not actually in control, that you're faking it. And the longer you refuse to give them that satisfaction, the more their insecurities boil over. Calm is not the absence of feeling, it's the mastery of feeling. You still experience frustration, sadness, and anger, but you've learned how to direct them instead of letting them direct you. That's a skill that takes years to build. And when someone who hasn't done that work sees you, they feel the gap between who they are and who they want to be. That gap is uncomfortable. Some people use it as motivation. Others use it as fuel for resentment. And that resentment often shows up as gossip, passive-aggressive comments, or outright hostility toward you. Your calm also destroys the power of intimidation. In a world where many people try to assert dominance through fear, raising their voice, or flexing status, you're a threat because those tactics don't work on you. They can't make you panic. They can't make you rush. They can't make you submit through pressure. You've removed the levers they use to control others, and that means they're powerless against you. That realization is unsettling for them. It shakes the foundation of how they deal with people. That's why your calm isn't just a personal trait, it's a power move, whether you intend it or not. There's also a deeper reason your calm exposes insecurity. It forces people to confront their own internal noise. When you sit in stillness, people who can't handle their own thoughts feel uncomfortable. They've built their life around distractions, around keeping their mind busy so they don't have to face certain truths about themselves. But when they're around you, their own mind gets louder because there's nothing to drown it out. Your calm acts like silence in a room where someone's trying to hide secrets. You can hear everything they've been trying to ignore. That's not your fault, but it is your effect. And let's be honest, this effect doesn't just apply to strangers. Sometimes the people most rattled by your calm are the ones closest to you. Friends, family, coworkers, the ones who've known you in your less controlled days. They remember when you would lose your temper, when you would jump into drama, when you would be the first to defend yourself at the slightest provocation. Now, when you respond with nothing but a composed stare and measured words, they don't know how to handle it. They feel like they've lost the ability to get to you. That can be threatening for people who used to feed off your reactions. What they don't realize is that your calm wasn't built to spite them. It was built to save you. You learned that peace isn't just a nice thing to have. It's necessary for survival. You learned that reacting to everything is exhausting and gives away your power. You learned that most situations don't need your panic. They need your clarity. And now that you've learned it, there's no going back. People will either adjust to your energy or fall away from your life. But you won't be sacrificing your calm to make anyone more comfortable in their insecurity. Your calm is your armor. It's the shield that keeps you from getting dragged into every emotional brawl. It's the clarity that allows you to see solutions while others see only problems. It's the quiet confidence that makes you untouchable in situations that would crush other people. And yes, it will continue to expose the insecurities of those who haven't mastered themselves yet. But that's not your burden to carry. If anything, it's your silent invitation for them to grow. Some will take it, many won't. That's their choice. At the end of the day, your calm isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about knowing exactly who you are and refusing to let the world dictate your internal state. And if that makes other people uncomfortable, so be it. You weren't put here to shrink so others can feel bigger. You were put here to stand as a reminder that real strength is measured not in how loud you can be, but in how still you can remain when the world tries to shake you. That's why your calm exposes others' insecurity and why you'll keep holding it like the crown it is. Silence is a weapon. Use it wisely. Not everyone understands this because they confuse silence with weakness, passivity, or surrender. But the truth is, silence is one of the most calculated moves you can make in life. It's the pause before the strike, the space where you gather your power while the other person wastes theirs. In a world addicted to noise, where everyone feels the need to respond instantly, argue endlessly, and explain themselves to anyone who questions them, silence becomes the rarest and sharpest tool you can wield. It's not about ignoring the world, it's about mastering when to speak and when to let your absence do the talking. When you choose silence, you deny people the one thing they crave most from you, your reaction. This frustrates them, especially if their only goal was to provoke you. People who thrive on drama feed on engagement. They don't actually want resolution. They want escalation. The moment you give them words, you give them ammunition. Silence, on the other hand, starves their fire. It leaves them swinging at shadows, arguing with themselves, trying to fill the empty space you've created. That space is where you win, because the less you say, the more they have to wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, what you're capable of. And the unknown is more intimidating than any threat you could voice. Silence also creates an undeniable aura of control. Anyone can shout when they're angry. Anyone can fire back when they're insulted. But when you can hear an attack, absorb it, and respond with nothing but steady eyes and a still mouth, it sends a clear message. You are not in control of me. That unnerves people, especially those who are used to being able to rattle others. Your silence says, I hear you, but you are not worth my words. And that's far more powerful than any comeback could be. But like any weapon, silence has to be used with precision. Silence at the wrong time can make you look passive or complicit. Silence in the face of injustice can be cowardice. The mastery lies in knowing when your words will create impact and when they will simply feed the noise. Think of it like drawing a bow. You don't keep firing arrows without aim. You wait, you measure, and when you release, it counts. The rest of the time, you hold the string and let your opponent wonder when you'll let it fly. In relationships, whether personal or professional, silence can expose more truth than 1,000 conversations. People reveal themselves in how they handle your quiet. Some will respect it, giving you space, understanding that your silence isn't absence, but discipline. Others will panic, overtalk, over-explain, trying to fill the void. And in their scramble to make sense of your stillness, they'll reveal exactly what they were hiding, fearing, or pretending not to feel. Silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's a magnifying glass. It makes small cracks visible and exposes weakness in the loudest armor. Silence is also a tool of emotional self-defense. When someone tries to bait you with insults, when they send that text meant to get under your skin, when they twist your words in hopes of dragging you into a spiral, you choose not to step into their arena. You know that entering the fight on their terms is a guaranteed loss. Instead, you let their words hang in the air, unanswered. They'll expect you to bite back, but all they get is the echo of their own noise. Over time, this teaches people that you cannot be played with, that you choose your battles, that you are not available for every petty war someone tries to start. One of the most strategic uses of silence is during negotiations or high-stakes conversations. People hate empty space in dialogue. They feel the urge to fill it, often revealing more than they intended. A well-placed pause can pressure someone to speak first, offer more, or backtrack without you having to say a word. In these moments, silence isn't passive. It's active control. You're steering the conversation without speaking, letting the other side unravel themselves. Silence also has a way of protecting your reputation. In an age where people rush to respond to accusations, criticism, or rumors, you stand out when you don't. Not because you're guilty, but because you know the truth doesn't need a frantic defense. It stands on its own. Words can be twisted. Silence, however, can't be misquoted. It forces people to sit with the story they've created and leaves room for them to realize their own errors without you getting your hands dirty. Of course, you have to be secure in yourself to do this. It requires faith that your character will outlast someone else's noise. The danger of silence is that it can be misunderstood, which is why it must be intentional. You're not silent because you have nothing to say. You're silent because you have nothing to gain by speaking. You're not silent because you're powerless. You're silent because you refuse to waste power on the undeserving. Silence isn't about letting people walk over you. It's about choosing which steps are worth taking. This is why silence is feared by the insecure. They interpret it as judgment. They see it as rejection. They feel it as a void they can't control. And in many ways, they're right. Your silence is a boundary they can't cross, a wall they can't climb, a refusal they can't argue with. They can debate your words. They can't debate your absence. That's why it drives them mad. It leaves them fighting an invisible enemy. But the greatest thing about silence as a weapon is that it protects your energy. Words require effort. And when you're constantly explaining, defending, or proving yourself, you're spending energy that could be invested in your growth, your goals, your peace. Silence keeps your focus intact. It reminds you that not every action requires a reaction, and not every comment deserves a reply. You save your words for when they carry weight, and in doing so, you make them more valuable. In the end, silence is the art of control. It's knowing that restraint often wins more battles than force. It's trusting that your presence, your composure, and your refusal to be dragged into chaos say more than any speech could. Used recklessly, silence can be a missed opportunity. Used wisely, it's a sword no one sees coming until it's already cut through their game. Speak when it matters. Stay silent when it doesn't. And remember, the loudest person in the room is rarely the one in control. The one in control is often sitting quietly, watching, waiting, and choosing their moment. That's the true power of silence. Don't trade peace for approval. It sounds simple, but in a world where people are addicted to being liked, respected, or accepted, it's one of the hardest principles to live by. Most people don't realize how much of their life is shaped by this silent trade. They bend their boundaries. They stay in rooms where their soul feels suffocated. They bite their tongue when they should speak, all because they fear losing someone's approval. But here's the truth. Approval is temporary, and it comes with strings attached. Peace is permanent and it comes with freedom. The moment you choose approval over peace, you've sold the most valuable thing you own, your inner stability, for a currency that will always lose value. Approval is fickle. It shifts with moods, trends, and personal agendas. One day you're everyone's favorite. The next you're the target of their gossip. If your sense of worth depends on how others see you, you'll live in a constant state of anxiety, always performing, always adjusting, always wondering if you're doing enough to stay in their good graces. Peace, on the other hand, is not up for public vote. It doesn't matter if people clap for you or turn their backs. You remain steady because your validation comes from within. People can only take away what they gave you. If they gave you approval, they can take it back. But if you built your peace yourself, no one can touch it. The dangerous thing about trading peace for approval is that it happens subtly. It's in saying yes when every part of you wants to say no. It's in letting someone talk to you disrespectfully because you don't want to cause a scene. It's in agreeing with opinions you don't believe in because you're afraid of being excluded. Each time you do it, you chip away at your own integrity. You train yourself to prioritize other people's comfort over your own mental health. And the cruel irony is, the people whose approval you're chasing rarely respect you more for it. In fact, the more you bend, the less they value you. Why? Because they see you as someone who can be controlled. The truth is, people respect boundaries far more than they respect compliance. Approval seekers try to be everything to everyone and end up invisible to themselves. The ones who stand out, the ones who are remembered, are those who refuse to compromise their peace for applause. They're the ones who can walk away from a table where the cost of staying is too high, even if it means losing connections, opportunities, or popularity. It takes courage to do that, but the reward is priceless. You can sleep at night knowing you stayed true to yourself. Approval is a trap because it makes you dependent. Once you've gotten used to the rush of being liked, you start chasing it like a drug. You dress, talk, work, and even live in ways designed to keep the approval flowing. And the moment someone disapproves, it shakes you to your core. That's why people who seek approval are easy to manipulate. They can be made to do almost anything if the threat of losing approval is dangled over them. But a person who values peace over approval can't be moved that way. They can handle being misunderstood, criticized, or even disliked because they know those things don't define them. Peace requires you to be willing to lose people, not in a bitter, revengeful way, but in the understanding that anyone who demands you sacrifice your well-being for their comfort is not worth keeping. This is where most people falter. They think peace means keeping everyone happy. It doesn't. Peace means keeping yourself aligned, even if it makes others uncomfortable. If your inner calm makes someone feel threatened, that's their battle, not yours. The beauty of choosing peace over approval is that it attracts the right people into your life. When you're no longer performing, you stop attracting those who only like the version of you that catered to them. You begin to connect with people who respect you for who you are, not for what you can do to please them. These relationships are deeper, stronger, and far more rewarding than the shallow connections built on constant people-pleasing. And here's the hard truth. Approval is often the reward for conformity, not authenticity. People will approve of you as long as you don't challenge their comfort zone. The moment you live too boldly, speak too honestly, or stand too firmly, their approval dries up. But that's not a loss. It's a filter. It shows you who's really with you and who's only with the version of you they could control. This is why choosing peace may shrink your circle, but it will strengthen it. You also need to understand that approval can come with a hidden cost: control. Many people give approval not because they truly value you, but because it keeps you tied to them. As long as you keep acting in ways they like, you'll keep getting their praise. Step out of line, and suddenly the approval disappears, and with it, the false sense of security it gave you. That's when you realize approval was never love, never respect. It was leverage, and you were paying for it with your peace. Peace, on the other hand, can't be bought, sold, or traded. It comes from knowing you're living in alignment with your values. It's not loud, flashy, or dependent on anyone else's applause. It's the quiet strength that allows you to say no without guilt, to walk away without fear, and to be misunderstood without falling apart. When you have peace, you're free, and when you're free, you can't be controlled. The decision to stop trading peace for approval will not make you instantly popular. In fact, it might do the opposite at first. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries will be the first to resist your change. They'll call you selfish, cold, or difficult. But remember this, those labels are just the sound of people losing the ability to control you. Over time, you'll notice that while you may lose some approval, you gain something far more valuable: self-respect. And once you have that, You'll never want to go back to living without it. The more you choose peace over approval, the more you realize how much unnecessary weight you are carrying. The opinions of people who don't live your life, pay your bills, or walk in your shoes suddenly lose their power over you. You stop seeking permission to be yourself. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. You start trusting your own voice more than the noise around you. And that's when you become truly dangerous, not because you're loud, but because you're untouchable. Don't trade peace for approval. Approval fades. Peace lasts. Approval depends on their mood. Peace depends on your choices. Approval is given by others. Peace is built by you. One makes you dependent, the other makes you free. When you finally choose the latter, you'll understand why people protect it like treasure. Because in the end, peace isn't just the absence of conflict, it's the presence of self. And no amount of applause in the world is worth losing that. The strongest response is living unshaken. Anyone can shout back when insulted, clap back on social media, or fire off a clever comeback in the heat of the moment. That's the easy route, the instinctive reaction most people take when they feel attacked or challenged. But that's not strength. That's just noise. Real strength isn't in the reaction. It's in the refusal to let the outside world dictate your inner state. Living unshaken means your spirit is anchored so deeply that no rumor, no insult, no setback, and no betrayal can throw you off course. It's not about pretending things don't hurt. It's about refusing to let pain steer the wheel of your life. Living unshaken is the art of standing tall when everyone is waiting for you to crumble. It's when they throw dirt on your name and instead of rushing to defend yourself, you keep moving toward your goals. It's when the world tries to drag you into drama, but you choose silence and focus instead. The reason this is the strongest response is because it robs your enemies of their desired outcome. People who attack you aren't always looking to destroy you physically. They want to disrupt you mentally. They want to see you panic, lose your composure, or divert your energy into fighting them instead of building yourself. When you remain unshaken, you deny them that satisfaction. This is what most people don't realize. Your reaction often matters more than the attack itself. Life will throw storms at you, some caused by people, some caused by circumstances. You can't control that. What you can control is whether you let those storms uproot you. If your roots are shallow, built on the approval of others, temporary confidence, or external validation, you'll sway wildly every time the wind blows. But if your roots run deep, built on self-respect, clarity of purpose, and unshakable values, then no matter how hard it storms, you'll bend but not break. Being unshaken doesn't mean being emotionless. It doesn't mean you never feel anger, sadness, or fear. It means you feel them, process them, and still choose your actions based on your principles, not your impulses. It means you could lash out, but you don't. You could quit, but you won't. You could let bitterness take over, but you refuse to give it space in your life. This control over your own state is rare, and it's why living unshaken is such a powerful response. When you refuse to be moved, you expose the weakness of those who try to move you. They'll try to provoke you with lies, criticism, or deliberate disrespect. They'll expect you to explode, to overreact, to play into their hands. But when you remain calm, composed, and focused, their tactics crumble. They realize they can't control you, and that's the most frustrating thing in the world for people who thrive on control. Your steadiness becomes their defeat. Living unshaken also protects your energy. Every time you react in anger, rush to prove yourself, or get pulled into petty battles, you waste energy that could be invested in your vision, your goals, your growth. People who are constantly shaken rarely achieve greatness, not because they lack talent, but because they're always distracted by the noise around them. By staying centered, you keep your attention where it belongs, on building something bigger than the nonsense trying to derail you. The beauty of living unshaken is that it speaks louder than any defense you could give. If someone lies about you and you keep succeeding, the truth eventually reveals itself. If someone underestimates you and you keep winning, their doubts become irrelevant. If someone betrays you and you keep living well, their betrayal loses its sting. Your success, your peace, and your unshakable presence become your statement. And the best part? You don't have to waste words to make it. Of course, living unshaken requires discipline. It's not something you stumble into by accident. It's a choice you make daily. It means setting boundaries so you're not constantly thrown off balance by other people's chaos. It means knowing your values so clearly that no temporary temptation or pressure can make you abandon them. It means taking care of your mental, emotional, and physical health so you have the resilience to withstand challenges without falling apart. There will be moments when you'll be tempted to prove yourself to the world, to respond to every critic, to fight every battle, to correct every misunderstanding. But you have to ask yourself, does this serve me or does it serve my ego? Living unshaken is about serving your purpose, not your pride. Pride will have you fighting every insult. Purpose will have you walking away from anything that doesn't push you closer to your goals. People may mistake your calm for weakness. They may think your refusal to react means you're scared or incapable. Let them. In fact, let them underestimate you. It gives you the advantage. While they waste energy assuming you're not a threat, you're building in silence, strengthening yourself, and positioning for moves they won't see coming. By the time they realize your strength, it's too late for them to stop you. Living unshaken also forces people to change how they approach you. If they can't provoke you, they'll eventually stop trying. If they can't control you, they'll either respect you or remove themselves from your path. Either outcome benefits you. Over time, your life becomes surrounded by people and situations that align with your peace instead of disrupting it. The truth is, the world doesn't reward panic. It rewards persistence. Every time you choose to remain unshaken, you're proving to yourself that you can withstand more than you thought. And that builds a quiet, unshakable confidence no one can fake. It's the confidence of someone who has been through the fire,